Hey, this is Damon Fox. You're watching Search and Destroy, and you're one step closer to doom. The timing is now, so you can't cry over something not happening. Jamie and I were just watching, my tour manager, we were just watching The Black Crowes from 1992 and some Lenny Kravitz, and that Big Elf, we were right in there with that the sort of retro rock resurgence in the early 90s, but it was a little too psychedelic, and possibly there was just too much facial hair back then for people to grasp at the time. But it's about luck. And right now, luck is on our side, so I'll take it. No complaining here. Now I'm sinking down. I mean, different members. There's been some different lineup changes, so it's not so much. I don't know if the sound or the idea has so much changed. Different members bring different elements to the band. Early on, I think we had more of we had three singers in the band, the bass player Rich and Andy, the guitar player. We all sang leads, so there was, if there was 9 songs, three songs for me, 3 songs for, very Beatles mentality. But it also had much more of a Zeppelin, Deep Purple kind of underbelly in the early days. And as the members changed, it got a little more prog rock. Ace joined, it got really a lot more Pink Floyd. His guitar playing brought out the writing style of the Floydian chord changes. So I think the idiom is the same, though. I think it's this kind of hybrid songwriting style, which is what we were shooting for in the early days, is kind of combining two things that don't go together and trying to exploit that and make it our formula. Nobody ever said that Big Elf was reinventing the wheel, because I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm trying to generate an interest, a resurgence in real rock and roll, the way it used to be made. So the goal's still the same. People are just more paying attention now. My hat's bigger. That's another reason. I mean, Sabbath has always been a massive influence with their. They have that doom sense in their writing, and it's. I don't even know if it's something they thought about. It's just something that came out of Birmingham. Ozzy's vocal. It's very dark sounding. It's very evil, and those chord changes aren't just. That's like a combination of the scales, and there's a little bit of weird jazz in there too, which I think creates a lot of different elements for Sabbath to be kind of unique. But when you put it up against Zeppelin and Deep Purple, it really is less blues and more in this kind of doom stoner thing, which they kind of invented by accident. When I was a child, obviously the name of the band is Big Elf, so obviously was really influenced by Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings and that whole mentality. I was a Star Wars child, so all those things in a cinematic way in the 70s, Close Encounters probably had a big impact on me growing up, and rock and roll was pretty mainstream back then too. So I mean, I always enjoyed when music was epic. So it's only one side of the band, because then there's some just rock and roll songs and there's some pop songs, and kind of keep it mixed. But certainly books and movies definitely come into play. The Warriors, Road Warrior and the Road Warriors both have amazing visuals that kind of bring in sort of an epic. Of course, like Willy Wonka is one of the all-time influences for me. Yeah, we've had like 10 buzzes in LA over the last 20 years. So you kind of create a buzz and then it dies. There is no LA to me now. maybe 10, 15 years ago, there was a scene. There was a psychedelic rock scene. There was like a neo stoner kind of scene, and we were kind of like a little bit of a black sheep of that genre. But yeah, Los Angeles is people are just too obsessed with getting signed and how many hits people have on their MySpace pages, and it's not, and more about networking and less about a band actually being great. You know, in the old days, like Guns N' Roses, Jane's Addiction, Motley Crue, you know, the heyday of LA being a big scene, or like the Doors or something. You know, bands were just great, and then the attention came to them. You didn't go out and, hey, my name's Jim Morrison, and I have a Facebook page. You just were Jim Morrison, and everybody noticed. So it kind of sucks, honestly. Thank God I don't have to be part of it too much longer. Yeah, barely. Just enough to keep going. I mean, it's I always tell people at shows to steal our music on the internet, you know, and go sample it, go check it out, and then, you know, go to a show, grab a T-shirt or purchase it on iTunes, because if you do enjoy Big Elf, they get a lot of wonderful, fantastic letters that are very inspiring to me from fans, and for us to keep doing Big Elf, it's going to take fan support to keep it going, because when you look at the merch tallies every night, wow, we did really great tonight in Manchester, England, it makes a big difference, because you can afford to keep doing it, you know. So we would never come down here if the promoters weren't so kind to us to give us some, you know, decent money. I mean, that's the reason. It's embarrassing that we've been around this long and never made it to Mexico. It's absurd. You know, we've played in Dallas, we've played in Austin, we've played in Arizona, and you live in Los Angeles. It's pretty close to drive. It's not that far, but it takes money to get through, you know, customs and visas. It's complicated. So, you know, buy CDs, buy T-shirts. It's here to stay. There's nothing. I'm not necessarily against it. It's a form. It's a digital formation that's occurred, and it's sort of I think it's a gray area right now. There's no definition to it. So it's got to go back to live music. Got to go back to fans. It's got to go back to, you know, kind of a grassroots thing where, you know, in the clubs or theaters or whatever, but music fans supporting bands. It can't just be about labels fronting the bill, because they don't have any money either. You know, it's a tough industry. It's not what it was. But, you know, and what it wasn't great either, because there wasn't a whole lot of great music being made either. So now we're just having to deal with the aftermath. But you know, the most important thing is just, as long as rock and roll survives at all, I don't really give a shit about the rest.